So in this video, we're going to be learning about two new concepts. We're going to be learning about randomness and scores. Now, random is important for making a game because usually in every game there's an element of randomness because every time the player plays the game, they don't want it to be exactly the same, right? That doesn't get challenging after a while. So randomness lets the game change and become interesting each time you play it. Now, scoring is obvious. Like score lets the player keep track of how well they're doing. Without a score, it's kind of like, well, what am I doing here? So scores are very important to just like letting the user know how well you're doing. So the first thing we're going to do here is I'm just going to make it so when I collide with this, it moves to a random part of the screen. All right, so that's our first thing. Like, how do we get something to just like pop up somewhere random? All right, so I'm just going to go like this over here. Now, let me just show you the basic of this. Right now, this ellipse is starting at X and Y. And X and Y are 200, so it's at 200, 200. Now, one thing I could do to make it to show up at a random part of the stream is always initialize it to a random number. So instead of always starting it at 0, I'll have it start at a number between 0 and 400. This is how random works. There's a starting value and there's an ending value. And meaning your random number can be anywhere between 0 to 400. It can't be 500, it can't be 1,000, and it can't be negative 200. It has to be between 0 and 400. So this means it'll start at a random place on the screen, X value of 0 to 400. So look at what happens when I press play. See how it moves all the way to the left? It's probably at some random number, like over here. In fact, we could really see it by doing this, console.log x, and I'll show you what exactly x turned out to be. So you'll see here, this time it's 288, so it's a little bit closer to the right side of the screen. This time it's 130, so it's a little closer to the left. And so each time I'm just getting a random number, see 67, 26, and it's putting it in different places. Now I could do the same thing for the y. So I could do random 0 to 400 and check it out. Now it'll be, oh, you can see that console log x, console.log y. And you'll see here, here's the x value is 333, the y is 206. And every time I press play, it's at a new part of the screen because the x and y are at different places, right? Cool. So that's how you can make it start at a different random place each time. But what if I want to make it so every time I hover over it, it moves to a different place? Well, we can do that pretty easily. So first we need a collision. So I'm going to say let's C for collision, not X, C. Oh, okay. Now I'm going to go over here and initialize my collision. I'm going to say C equals collide circle, circle, because these are both circles. All right. And I'm just going to copy and paste my X. I'll copy and paste my Y. All right. Check it out here. Now I'm going to add a collision conditional here. All right. Now, what I'm going to say here is if C, all right, is if C is true, right? So they have collided. What I'm going to do is give my my circle a new X and Y position. So I'm going to say X is now equal to a new random thing between 0 and 400, and my Y is equal to another new random one between 0 and 400. All right, let's try it out. See, every time I hover, you see how it moves around? I gotta chase it. Ooh, that's fun. Oh, 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 oh. Cool. So that's basically how randomness works, right? What I'm doing is just every time I collide, I'm setting the X and Y to a new random number. And that lets me move these things around and have like a fun game where I'm just kind of chasing the circle. Now this would become a lot more fun if I had, ooh, that's fun. Ooh. If I had, what's it called? A score, right? So let's put a score on this now. So to have a score, what you need to do is declare a score variable. So I'm going to say let's score. And that's going to be the variable that holds the score. Now, just like with all other variables, you want to initialize it to a value. So what's the starting score in a game? It's usually 0. So I'm going to say score equals 0. And what I'm going to do is display the score to the user. So what I can do here is say text score. Okay, so I'm displaying the score, and I'll put that at, let's say, 50-50. All right. Now, if you see here, you can see it over there. But probably the user's going to be like, well, why is there just like a random number 0 there? So I could add some text to it. So I'm going to say score. And I'll put this here with a plus sign. Check it out. See there? Let's move it actually to 2020. All right, and now there's a score. All right, well, it's set to 0, right? So we just need to make it go up every time I collide with this. Well, the way you make it go up is that every time I collide, I just want to add 1 to the score. So here, inside the collision, I'm going to add one more statement, right? Which is just score is equal to score plus 1, right? That's how you increment up by 1. So now I could do this. Check it out. Boom. See how the score goes up by 1? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now I have my game, right? There we go. Now, ooh. You can make the score go up by bigger numbers. So let's say we want to make the game go up by 5 every time. See how I could do that? So now it's going up by 5 every time I touch it. You could also make it subtract numbers. So maybe you want something that like makes the score go down. So now I could just like have it go down each time. So it's -5. See how it's going down each time? But in general, let's just make this go up by 1. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. And then finally, just for fun, let's make a way to end this game, right? There's tons of ways to make a game end, but what I'm going to do is just say if the score gets to 10, we'll end the game. So we'll say if score is greater than or equal to 10, or we'll just say this, if score equals 10, then we'll just say text game over. Let's make it nice and big. And we'll put that at 50, 200. All right, and let's do a no loop to end the loop. All right, let's give it a shot. Let's see how this works. Ready? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and game is over. All right, guys, that is how you do random and scoring. Hopefully this is helpful, and you can start your lab now. It's very similar to this. It's called Fruit Catcher. All right, good luck.